What a week in professional wrestling. Title changes, title matches. We had Carmelo Hayes finally get him some gold in WWE, won the U.S. title on SmackDown. Had MJF, two-time men's AEW World Champion. Usos getting them tag straps back on Raw. And then Willow closing out 2025 with a bang, beating Mercedes for the TBS Women's Championship. Downfall is happening. Rhodesia, out of those four, what hit you most in the feels?
Probably hit the other person too in the feels just as much, but the opposite way. I would say Usos regaining the tag team championship. Only because Jay did not want to be a tag team all the way up into the final one-on-one between him and his brother. He's like, come on, we got to do this. And yeah, they try to say, well, he had doubt because if he couldn't do it on his own, he's only going to bring his brother down. All that. No, that's all smoke screens. Jay don't want to be a tag team partner at all. That's just the rule. That's just how it is. But here we are. So.
That's you putting that negativity on him.
Okay, so you're going to sit up here and deny? Okay.
But two and a half years since the last time they won tag team championships, right? Okay. Or I think since they dropped them, maybe, whatever that was.
Whatever it was,
but it seems like it was a lot sooner than that. You know, and a lot of people are talking like, oh, this is a step back for Jay. No, it's not a step back for Jay. You watch that match. Man, that last 5 minutes, that last stretch, probably a little bit longer than that. There was a stretch after they came back from commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Tag team wrestling, when it is done right, can be some of the best wrestling there is out there easily. I think back to like some of my like really fond memories of wrestling like the last decade, and outside of something that was a culmination, you know, storyline or something like that. If we're talking just like wrestling, a lot of those matches were tag team matches. You know, I think back to Lucha Brothers and Young Bucks in that cage match, which was unreal, absolutely unreal. We were there live for that. And then the Lucha kids came in after the match, and they were crying out. That was such a big moment. You think about, just Usos and New Day, numerous of those matches. KO and Sammy with the Usos at WrestleMania, just when it's done right. I remember listening to Enzo years ago when him and Big Cass was down in NXT, and he made a comment. And he was saying, like, we have the unfair advantage because we get the hot tag every single night.
Oh, wow.
That's get awesome. To use the hot tag as a spot every single match. And even after hearing that, it kind of made me look at hot tags a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right? Like, you got that get out of jail free card. And if you use it right, boy, the people are going to come, and it is guaranteed every single time. And if you don't, then it is what it is. But that's a good one. I mean, kind of like when I thought about that question, I was going to go Usos because for me in that moment, it felt like validation for what I've been saying about Jay. Like he did it. He did the singles run. It's time now, you know, for the tag piece. I did love how he wanted to hit the yeet one last time when they were leaving after the match. And Jimmy was like, I'm good, man. I'm not coming back. Like, the face Jay made was just like, damn, come on, man. Jimmy's like, no, man, you good. We've yeeted. We've wrestled. It's time to go. But for me, I am going to go with, if I don't go with the Usos, I'm going to go with Carmelo. And we'll talk about that later on the show.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and I have a question that I really want to ask you about Carmelo Hayes. But talk about validation, right? Like in that moment. Validation for him. So shout out to actually all four. I'm excited for all four of those. I am excited to see where they go with this Uso tag title run because they can go in so many different spots. We brought up Lucha Bros.
Yeah.
You know, like, do we finally get that match at a major PLE pay-per-view? You know, Carmelo.
And I would think the Usos would be worthy of them. And same thing, the Lucha Brothers is worthy to be an opponent of the Usos. I think that would be like a dream match that we never really thought we'd want it or need it, and that we're going to possibly get at this point.
You give them time, and that match would be off the charts. Like, I am super excited for that. We have to get it. We're going to have to get it. It's just a matter of if we get it like right now, soon in this iteration. But Carmelo looks like, I think he's probably going to be doing the U.S. Open Challenge, really be able to show off his range and what he can do. MJF, getting another shot at the AEW title. We'll talk about that a little bit later too, because I want to kind of get your thoughts on like Kenny Omega of it all and all that kind of stuff. And then Willow, which is the first woman in AEW history to hold 2 titles at one time. And we'll, of course, talk about that later on.
And isn't she like the
well.
first 2-time TBS champion too? Or something like that? I thought that was
also making up stuff again? Were these
maybe. Maybe. I thought I saw that.
Back at it again. You ain't even seeing nothing but Stranger Things. So don't even, look, I just need you just to stick to any question I ask you, to stick to that.
I believe, y'all.
Freestyling
I believe. I put it on the Twitter. Call me a mark if you want. I believe 11 is alive. I think it's stupid because why would she live a life in like isolation? But I believe that 11's alive.
She did.
Oh, spoiler. Sorry. But at this point, my whole thing was give everybody at least a day to watch Stranger Things before you give out spoilers. At this point, it's 2 days. So I'm good.
Welcome to the TFW podcast, episode 229 of this thing, the best kept secret in wrestling podcast. Guess I should just keep what I said last week, according to ChatGPT, the podcast that tells you exactly how it is. With the two of us, I'm your favorite talker out in these wrestling streets, Matt, joined by that beautiful lady right over there, Rhodesia. Shout out to all our freaks, supporters, and listeners and watchers of the podcast. If you like what you are hearing or seeing, if you're watching this on YouTube, kindly hit that subscribe button you see, that follow button you see, or that like button you see on your screen. It helps us out tremendously to grow and get to where we need to get to. But hey, it's 2026. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
To everybody listening, hopefully you had a fantastic New Year's Eve. You are back and refreshed and replenished like we are. We were supposed to pod. First, we were going to pod on Wednesday, New Year's Eve.
No, I thought even Tuesday night, maybe. I think we said we was going to try to Tuesday night.
Well, yeah, but that went out the window. I'm like, look, we'll do Wednesday. And we went out Wednesday night. So I'm like, no, you know what? We can do Thursday, right? Like, I'm like, and I want to see Dynamite anyway. Coming off of Worlds End, it could be something worthy of talking about, which there was.
Which it was. Of course.
And I'm like, yeah, so we'll wait. We could do Thursday. And we go out on New Year's Eve. And here in Spain, it's, imagine like, it's like their city center, right? So if you're in New York, it's like their Times Square. You get down there like 11 p.m. They have a DJ, they got stage, do the whole thing. And there's a tradition here with grapes where like the last 12 seconds of the year, you put grapes in your mouth and you kind of like just let go of things from the past, and then come midnight, boom, right? So we got our grapes. Rhodesia locked in, and when we went to the store on Tuesday, she got us our grapes. So Lil Matt, Rhodesia and I, we got our grapes. We're ready to lock and load. Problem is this, though. It is so busy down there that we can't get to the stage. I was trying to get to the stage. Rhodesia has at this point, it's like a phobia.
It is.
Of crowds.
Yeah.
She's only 5 foot. So I'm like, if we can just make our way like around the stage by like 11:45, she can make it through to midnight. So we're walking through the people, and like now we kind of get at a standstill a little bit. And I'm thinking, I'm not saying anything out loud. I'm like,
kinda.
I'm like,
I'm getting a hot flash thinking about it
now. She can be struggling right now. So we kind of we're waiting, and I'm waiting for people to move. And she taps me. She goes, so what's the plan? Because it's starting to happen.
I'm actually feeling it again from then.
I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, then we might as well go back, because there is, I was trying to get, because I thought maybe they'd have a countdown clock or something. So, because there's just no way we're going to be able to time everything like we need to time it unless we see like what's up. So I'm like, all right, well, we might as well just head back, because there's nowhere in this area that you're not going to have, your phobia attack. So we kind of make our move, and then we realize it's like 11:48. We don't have anything to toast to at midnight, because we were going to the club right after this. So we head over, and Rhodesia's like, we can just go to the store. I saw a store open right there. I'm like, cool, let's go to the store. She then decides to go to a bar. And I'm like, why are we going to the bar?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, this is what I thought the store was. So I'm like, well, by the time we get our drink, we can't leave the restaurant or the bar with our drink. So now we got to drink it inside the bar. It's like, oh, you're right. I didn't think about that. So then we take off running to the store. So we get to the store, get us, little small bottles of champagne. Matt gets his drink. And then we head back. And now, like, we're on the corner, maybe 600 yards away from the stage, but we're behind the stage. So I look at my watch. It's like 11:53. So we're waiting, waiting and waiting. And now we're getting close. We're getting real close to the time. Now it's like 11:58. And they're still talking, but of course they're speaking in Spanish, right? So I'm not getting any visible or audio cues of when midnight's really going to hit. So now it's 11:59. And I'm like, okay, now we got to open up these grapes because you're supposed to pop the grapes in at like 11:59 and 58 seconds. But you got grapes and you got your drink. So I open up my drink and then I'm trying to wait to hear because it feels like it's been a little long in 11:59s. Like it should be like midnight at this point, and they're still not like talking properly with the countdown.
But wait, before you get there, talk about the panic starting at 11:58 about opening our drinks.
Well, so we have just a twist top. Poor Matt, he decides to get like the wine cooler or whatever it is. So he has like the ones where you need the bottle opener. Matt can't open the bottle opener. But now Matt's looking to break the top of his glass bottle from everything to the stoplight to the concrete floor to the street sign. Luckily,
his teeth.
It was like this guy like New Year's angel came out of nowhere and was like, I got it for you. I think he was like Australian. So he like opens it with his hand. He's like, I was bartender for like 10 years. So he opens up with his hand.
He said he's Irish, actually.
Yeah, so he's locked in. So now I'm like, I'm just going for the grapes. I'm going. Because there's, at this point, whatever, right? So I just start popping grapes in my mouth. And they were fantastic, too. And then I hear, like, the countdown. But it's not, like, 10, 9, 8. It is, like, 10. 9. So now by the time we get to like what 8 should be, I'm like, it has to be midnight. I look at my watch, it's 12. It's 12:00. Countdown is still going on. I got some grapes. Rhodesia and Matt ain't even opened up their grapes yet. So I don't know what time we actually said Happy New Year, but I know it wasn't at the stroke of midnight. And I look at like this time zone as like fake time zone anyway, because we've lived in either Eastern or Central time zone our entire life. So I'm like, really, we had 6 more hours until it was New Year's. Japan had already been in New Year's. Philippines already in New Year's. So it was what it was. But fantastic, experience. And then we leave there and go to the club. And we didn't leave the club until like 6:20 a.m. And that's a whole story for a whole nother day on how that went. All great. Incredible time. Took Matt to his first club and, did the whole VIP thing. And so he got to experience that. But so yesterday was it was a rest and recovery day. Yesterday was, wake up at 2:30 p.m. It was get some breakfast, go back to bed, wake up after taking a nap, watch Stranger Things, and then go to sleep. Yep. That was literally our New Year's Day. So,
which was perfectly fine.
Yeah. So Happy New Year to everybody. So looking forward to 2026. Here's to 2026 being even better than 2025 was. And big things coming for hopefully everybody in your personal lives, professional lives, and for everything we got planned with Rhodesia and I, TFW Podcast, and everything surrounding that. So I figured we'd start something Paul Heyman said that I wanted to get your thoughts on. So Paul Heyman's cutting a promo on Raw Monday. He's got the Vision in the ring. And he basically makes a comment surrounding in about 5 years from now, these will be like your WrestleMania main eventers.
I remember that.
So, of course, I got to looking in the ring. You got Logan Paul, Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker, Austin Theory. Am I missing anybody? That was everybody, right?
Yeah, Bron Breakker,
okay, yep.
Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Austin Theory, yep.
in 5 years, I think there's a guarantee one, right, with Braun Breaker. I think if you wanted to push it, maybe with Logan Paul. I mean, I don't see Logan Paul as a WrestleMania main eventer. But if it happened, you would say, well, of course it would. It's Logan Paul, right? Everything that comes with the Paul brothers, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll say, okay, cool. I'm locked in on 2. I don't see that ceiling with Bronson Reed. And you know me, I'm a big Bronson Reed fan. I think he has the opportunity to be the best out of all of them. But being the best, they never equated a lot of times to being a WrestleMania main eventer, per se. And you know I'm high on Austin Theory, but I don't see that in 5 years for Austin Theory. But if you had to say, so I think we both are lockstep on Braun Breaker.
Sure.
Right? Would you also say you could see Logan Paul main event at WrestleMania in 5 years?
Yes, I could.
Okay. So then now you got Austin Theory and you got Bronson Reed. If you
And real
had
quick,
to
I
pick
think
one of
I
them,
think Logan Paul. I know you just asked a question, but I think with the Logan
Mhm.
Paul one, it'd be more for maybe TKO pressing them to make him go in a main event position. Like I don't think it would be like a natural storyline, feeling authentic pro wrestler making it to the main event of WrestleMania, like how we used to see back in the day. The wrestlers they would work so hard first off in the year just to be on WrestleMania, then to know that they're about to finish main event. That's like a whole different thing. I don't think Logan Paul's trajectory will get there like that traditional way. It'll be because of everything that comes with his name. They're forcing the hand of WWE to put him in the main event position.
Okay.
Now, were we about to ask about the other two? Austin Theory
So if you had to
and
pick
Bronson
one,
Reed? Mhm.
who are you going with and why?
That would be main event. I would have to go Bronson Reed because if we rewind a year ago, even a year and a half ago, I never would have thought Bronson Reed would have been this big. Well, I did maybe for a half a second, like when he was like the Godzilla on his Titantron, he was like the Godzilla. Then he went out injured. I thought for a second, right before he went out going injured, I was like, they're dropping a ball on him because he could be so much bigger than what he is. And then, of course, that kind of landed flat. He left. At that point, I never thought that he would be like important again, for lack of words here. And then when he came back, and then at one point, and even maybe a little bit now, outshining Braun Breaker, I didn't even think that would happen. And because that did happen, now you always talk about on the show, the cream rises to the top. He has been. And it's almost like they kind of been bringing him back down because Braun Breaker is supposed to be the next guy up. So I think Bronson Reed definitely has the potential to be a main eventer for sure. And Austin Theory, I just think is just he's gonna just be the person taking the pins in this group. He's gonna be a workhorse. He's the JD of Judgment Day. That's what Austin Theory is gonna be of this group.
And you feel that same way in 5 years?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Because I thought Austin Theory had the potential to be the face of the company years ago. And then when it didn't happen, and whatever happened between him and John Cena, it just seems like he did not go past go at all ever again. So now this could be the past go because you got the backing of Paul Heyman, but I just don't think so.
All right. Okay. Yeah, so we're kind of aligned there. Hey, do you remember when Braun Breaker used to be as dark as me?
Yeah, he usually
With the spray
is still.
tan?
He usually still is.
Nah, he let it go.
Why? What happened? He's pale now?
I mean, very much so. He came out on Raw Monday. I said, yo, where's color go? And we knew like it was spray tan, but man, it was a joke. It was a joke to my internals when I saw him.
I think he just got a little too busy. It was a holiday, right? You have holiday time. So I think that he ran out of time, so he couldn't get the spray tan going on.
Man, he needed to bring that spray tan back.
I think it'll be back
on Monday.
I think it'll be back. This was the holiday. And you know how you started this show and you talked about all the great things that happened, like real talk. And this is just because I don't have a great memory like you do. What final week of the year in pro wrestling, hell, in any workplace, has it been this productive? Like, usually people just cash it in. Hey, what's the joke? From don't talk to me from the day after Christmas until January 2nd. If I'm working, I'm only there in the physical. You're not getting any
Not the
production
mental.
out of me. Like, yeah, like nothing. Okay, I'll make sure the place don't catch fire. That's about it. I'm just only here because I have to be here because either everybody else got their holiday time off and so I didn't get approved for it, or I need to make this money to pay for these Christmas gifts. Other than that, you are not mentally here. When have ever in professional wrestling we get all of that hit in the last week and a half?
Never.
I don't ever remember that.
Yeah,
this is
because back in the
weeks.
day, at least for WWE, they were all tape shows and they were nothing shows, right? You get your embarrassing Miracle on 34th Street fight, right, where they're hitting each other with Christmas trees, and there's a place for that, of course, in wrestling. But that was like the show. There was nothing going on. So to go from that, and I know that, they Raw and SmackDown was still taped for like the last week and a half or so, but I was able to stay away from Carmelo Hayes winning the U.S. title. It didn't hit my algorithm at all, which is a great thing. So when it happened, I didn't know at all. But to get that, to get the Usos winning the tag titles, to your point, and then everything we got from AEW, from Worlds End to, New Year's Eve show. No, I mean, I thought it was extremely refreshing to see that just because it's the holiday time, and a lot of people, of course, are not watching television as much, but hey, that still doesn't stop the train where it needs to go. So I did think that was really, really cool. And boy, do we have a hell of a show on Monday. SmackDown today, if you're listening to this on Friday, is a big show too. First 3-hour SmackDown again.
That's right.
Good God, I'm not looking forward to that.
Lord.
I wouldn't be looking forward to it if the show was great. And I remember having conversations with people, I guess like a year ago on social media, when everything was great in WWE, right? And everything was just beautiful and everything kind of felt like must watch. I didn't like 3-hour SmackDowns then. I just think it's too much. That's just too much time, especially to fill, because I know, of course, I've been watching this long enough. I know how everything goes, right? Everything is cynical. When it goes up, must come down. What is down typically bounces back up. And when they went to 3 hours and then Road Dogg became head booker, I'm not putting all this on Road Dogg, but 1 + 1 = 2. It does seem like whenever he is the head writer of a show, the show quality dips. Once again, I'm not in the room, so I don't know what's happening, but this is now, a pattern that it's like there needs to be help. And that's the word, that they are going to have some help come in with new writers and or new talent. We see Sol Ruka, Javon Evans, Obafemi getting ready to be called up. I don't know if all three are put on SmackDown, but we absolutely know.
And Lash Legends, man.
Trick? We know what Trick's going to SmackDown. Trick's going to SmackDown.
He asked with Nick, like, you need to match this. Remember he said that. Gotta match this.
I do really enjoy Trick Dollars. Right?
Yeah,
like the character he's coming across. And he's been that character for a little bit. But remember, I was a little worried about, my only worry was in ring. I just thought he could have been a little bit stronger in ring with some of his matches. Most notably not hitting that third gear in his matches. But the character they have him kind of pegged at is completely different than any of the other characters that's coming up. So I do like that persona that he has right now, but he'll be on SmackDown. But it'll be interesting to see the other three, where they land. But yeah, first 3-hour show, and they got a nice lineup on tonight's show. But this January 5th Raw, they've done a lot to promote it over the last month or so. Looks like right now there's 3 matches. I felt like they announced more than that, but maybe not. There's 3 matches they have announced. All of them are championship matches. We have the Women's Tag Team Championship, Kabuki Warriors versus Rio and Io. Maxine Dupree versus Becky Lynch for the IC Championship. And we got the World Heavyweight Championship, CM Punk versus Braun Breaker. I do want to talk about all 3 of these matches really quick. Let's start with the tag match.
I'm still not understanding the relation between, you call her Rhea and Io. I don't. It almost feels like the woman version of a bromance, but it just, something is just like missing, and that's just, it's not clicking for me. And I bet there's some people who absolutely love it because in their own rights, they're two super monster houses of characters. But to me, those two big names, and again, what EO has done and like getting people to get behind her, because we loved EO, especially NXT EO. And when she came over for a moment, the crowd was just like, we'll be quiet when she comes out. But she's grown and built on that. So the place erupts now when she comes out too. You would think those two monsters together would be like even more beautiful and sweet. It's something about it that it's not jiving with me. I'm not understanding their relationship. I know they like each other, but I don't know if they like each other more than just friends in a romantic way. I'm not feeling it. So I don't know where you were going in with your question, but I just had to get that out there. When I'm seeing it on TV, it is just not landing with me well. Because if you guys want to be lovers, then be lovers. We see it beautifully with Mina and Tony Storm. You mean, great is Tony Storm too. I mean, storytelling, Tony Storm is, probably bar none the best out there. But for me, the two of them, I'm not understanding how they're working together as a tag team. Wrestling wise, amazing, but I'm not feeling it.
But you should be if you're watching the shows. Then that tells me maybe you're not really watching the shows. That would be a valid argument when I brought it up like 4 months ago. But you've had another 4 months. You had War Games. You've seen what the Kabuki Warriors have done to Rhea and Io numerous times. Now that's not a valid argument, because even if it was, the valid argument could just be, y'all have the tag titles, we're better than you guys, and we're going to beat you for it. So even if you take out all the other stuff out of it, I think there is room for just that. And for me, like when you look at that, because we have wrestler fan brain on, first thing that if I wasn't watching the shows, I look at this and say, well, Rhea and Io can't win the tag titles because Royal Rumble is up in like 30 days. Right? Okay, so something's got to happen where they don't win it, and then maybe they're at odds, and then that takes us into WrestleMania season. That part, that's kind of over. You just talked about what we got in the last week and a half on wrestling TV. That's typically not the case during the holidays. I don't know what they have planned. I haven't given like too much thought to it, and I hate to sound like that, just because a lot of times when I give a lot of thought, it's not often where I'm surprised on stuff. But like everything on this show, including Punk and Braun, and we'll get to that, of course, I haven't given a ton of thought to, because I feel like if I give a ton of thought to it, I'll figure out where they're going. And I enjoy kind of like when I don't. Like now, I don't even think when I watch AEW, I'm strictly there for whatever they are presenting to me. I'm going to watch. I'm going to enjoy as much as I can, and then of course we'll talk about it afterwards. But even like with Worlds End, I didn't give much thought at all to who I thought was going to win. I was just excited and interested in seeing those matches. So for this one, for me, absolutely, I see a world where Rhea and Io win the tag titles, because if they don't win the tag titles, I don't think there's really a spot right now in the singles division for them. They've spent so much time on this storyline with Rhea and Io and the Kabuki Warriors. It feels like this is the payoff.
Yeah, but okay, and I'm glad you said what you said to push back on what I said. And I still don't believe in this union. But I think what's driving me is because I am a huge Io fan, that it seems like Rhea is always coming to her defense, like she can't defend herself. And I know she's getting jumped. So I get that, and you need to come out. But it's almost like Rhea is being mommy bear, no pun intended, and trying to take care of Io. I guess that's the vibe that I'm getting off of it. Like she's trying to be like her mother, but yet a lover. Like it's just weird to me about the whole situation. Io is bigger than that. Io doesn't need someone to have to protect her back. And I guess that's just kind of my thing. It's like it's downgrading Io in the two of them because they're two massive stars. That's my opinion on that.
I'm excited to see what's next for the tag division, because I don't know who would be next. I'm sure it's probably there. I just don't know.
I don't know though, but I don't know who is there.
Right, so I'm excited for that one. Maxine and Becky, I thought did a great job on Raw Monday. In their last kind of go home promo for this match. A lot of steam being put behind Maxine, and shout out to Maxine. And I don't have her husband's name in front of me, but they just got married a few days ago. A lot of the women have been putting up videos, and guys too. I know Karrion Kross put up some photos that he was at their wedding too. Looks like they had an awesome time. Maxine looked gorgeous. So shout out to her. And of course, Becky is doing Becky. Quote tweeting pictures and talking about the weddings and stuff.
She
Of
is.
course she is. Of course she is. Do we get like a Natty return?
Oh,
Where Natty cost Maxine? I mean, you have to tell a story behind that.
So I'm with that because originally I thought that Maxine wasn't going to win the title because Natty was going to come do some type of interference there. And then when she did win the title, I'm like, okay. And then we only had, I think, 2 weeks, maybe a third, but 2 video packages of her in the dungeon. And I'm like, okay, well, then they kind of Natty just disappeared. But then they really like Natty and the Natty character.
Mm-hmm.
So I can absolutely see where Natty will come in and actually, I don't know how it's going to end. I'm just looking more of Natty and Maxine being the next feud. Now, does that mean that the title then goes to Becky and then she goes her own way with it and challenges whomever that way? And then now we just have Natty and Maxine going against each other without a title? I don't know which one I would want to see more, but I think that would be like Maxine's next opponent after this. I think it has to be Natty.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on like the amount of runway they see with Maxine. You know, do you do that feud with the title? Or do you do the feud without the title?
Yeah.
And then what's next for Becky?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I'm just overall, I'm excited with where WWE is at because we are getting into Royal Rumble season. And a lot of times in the past, that was the story. You had your world title story.
Mm-hmm.
You had your tag title story, if there was one, and then everybody was about to Rumble and trying to get to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And yeah, we still got, 30 days to get there or whatever it is. I know we're a little less than a month out from the Rumble, but it's a situation where there's so many different ways they can go with a lot of the characters and the stories of what they have. Because I don't know what's next for Becky. Like, is it Lyra or Bailey? If she wins it, like who knows, right? Maybe it's Lyra and Bailey who's next for the tag team titles, right? It's just there's so many different ways that they could go.
I forgot about them. Yep.
With all this, so but I mean, but if I had to pin, keep it on Maxine, maybe just to see if there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Because I love the Becky who feels like she's getting screwed over. It's entertaining to me, but
her last match she tapped, right?
Yeah.
So then, I mean, I just can't see Becky losing again like that. I mean, she could lose and it not truly affect her. I mean, I guess that's the thing about the whole bad woman. They can take a loss and it doesn't really affect them. But I just don't see her really losing again. But I don't know.
All fun and games.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those 2 matches, all fun and games. Whatever happens, I'm here for.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the main event. Now, the main event. Braun Breaker versus CM Punk.
Fuck the Mark
They've
Henry
been building
time.
for it for a month.
Mark Henry time.
Eternal sent a tweet to me a couple days ago and said if I had to pin, what should happen with Punk and Braun Breaker. And if I had the pin is different than what may happen, of course. A couple weeks ago, I'm like, yo, I think they may pull the trigger with Braun for this match. Because the match being announced when it was announced, I know I get it's the first Raw show of the year, but I'm like, damn, this is not at the Rumble. They're not. Oh, they're doing okay. And then he had those 2 weeks fantastic promos. Been doing really strong with them. And then that promo segment on Raw Monday with him and Punk. And Punk does so well. I've always said that. Always checks every single mark when it comes to his promos. Gives you the whys, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, he gives
and
a why.
He says to Braun about, it's not about you not being ready. It's about me not being ready. And I said, uh-oh.
He's a ball hog. He about to hold the championship longer. He about the ball hog.
And no, it's not about that. It's about
Yes,
the story arc. Right? It's about the story arc. I think the only way I'll be fine with Braun can't lose clean. Okay.
I think we're in agreement there. Yes. He cannot lose clean.
I think the only way I'll be okay with Braun not winning the title on Monday is if we get a returning Seth Rollins to cost Braun Breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm good. Mm-hmm. According to Seth, he's got another 3 to 4 months.
We don't really believe him.
Before he's ready to come back. I think this is ready-made for Seth to come back. Now, are we really going to do Seth and Braun before Mania? Well, maybe you do if that's when Braun's going to win the championship, is at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Okay? And remember when they talked about after he took out Seth and he basically did not kind of go for the belt, the talk was because they have their moment earmarked for Braun when it's going to happen, they don't want to deviate from that. But that tells me it has to be a massive moment. Hell, Monday could be the massive moment. First Raw show of the year, et cetera, that whole situation. Something major has to happen, though, outside of just Punk and Braun Breaker for me to be okay with him losing. So to Eternal's question, if I had to pin, what am I doing? I'm either doing that or I'm pulling the upset and I'm putting the belt on Braun Breaker. Once again, he doesn't have to now have to hold this title, 382 days, 455 days. Doesn't have to be a long title reign. I'm not saying it needs to be transitional either, but I'm saying he's at a point he's at a spot right now that if you put that belt on him, nobody's going to blink an eye whatsoever. And it's like, oh, okay, we're kind of here now for the Braun Breaker era of Monday Night Raw. But just don't have him lose clean to Punk. And there's nothing wrong with losing clean, especially when you think about what all they've done to Punk. Took him out in War Games and gone for weeks, et cetera, et cetera. I get all that. I would just really protect Braun in this spot for the finish.
Before I tell you what I do, because I think you already know, because I said fuck Mark Henry's math. My thoughts on how long someone holds a championship has now changed. I've had an epiphany almost. And it's like, I don't care if you hold the championship for 4 years or if you hold it for 1 day. As long as your championship reign has been meaningful, that's, I think, is what's most important to me now as a wrestling fan. I say that because there are some champions that their reigns are just like blah. And they could hold it for 4 months or 5 months. And before I used to be so mad, like don't have them win it here and at the next month lose it and drop it. I was so hell-bent on that, even up until just now thinking about it. But if in that 1 month it was meaningful and it served a purpose for the greater good of professional wrestling storytelling, I'm 100% okay with it. I want Braun Breaker to win. I want them to put him in a position where he will sink or swim. And I think he will surprise us, or for some people, he's going to be a master swimmer. There are just some times where people, they always talk about you're kind of never ready for the next step in your life. But when you get in there, own it. And I think that Braun Breaker has the potential to, even though I feel like maybe he's not quite ready, this is probably actually the exact time that you put him into that position. Because he kind of isn't ready. But let's see what you're going to do. And because you do have the Royal Rumble, you have Elimination Chamber coming, you kind of have some other things that kind of hide it if this doesn't pan out the way it needs to pan out. And you can go on and drop it right away and then get to somebody else. But I think it will be more meaningful for him to win on January 5th. Let's see what he can do. I get what you said about the whole Punk thing, that he's not ready to let it go. At this point, I think on the save Punk version of him, I think that he's okay with dropping the title or doing whatever is best for business in that regard. I just don't think his championship reign has been I don't think Punk's championship reign has been anything to write home about, but maybe the meaningful part that I just talked about, maybe it is to put over the young talent, which we know Save Punk and Unsave Punk will always try to do that.
That's a good point about, what's being done in the title reign. I go back to WrestleMania, and yeah, maybe Charlotte needed a character rehabilitation, which she's absolutely gotten with Alexa Bliss. But that was my argument when she lost to Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany did nothing with that title after that match.
Nothing.
At all.
Nothing.
Right? Like, so it's okay, like, so then why did we keep it on her? I don't even think she got much from the win against Charlotte. And then that should have been a bigger moment than what it was, and we know reasons why and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, to your point, I still, think now we're getting to Punk's title reign. So that'd be the other part of it too. Why you would keep it on him. You say, well, hell, he just won it, in that Saturday Night's Main Event a little bit ago and really hasn't had a defense because he was involved in War Games, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. True that, right? Because that's why for me it's more of the finish than anything else. And then the other part to think about too is in 2 weeks we got Cody and Drew.
Yeah.
3 stages of hell, which I believe that there's only been like one babyface that's ever won that match in WWE. That's typically a heel match to win.
Okay.
And this is not January 5th, of course. This is going to be, I think, in 2 weeks out the country for SmackDown. But with the large shadow of Roman Reigns ahead, I think you put that belt on Drew. Cody gets nothing from beating Drew again. Nothing. I've said I feel like Drew has been lost. He's done, like, he's got some momentum over the last few weeks or so. But
which one? You say Drew got some momentum? You said
Drew, yeah. 60 days ago, hell, maybe even 45 days ago. To me, he wasn't somebody that we looked at as being a realistic threat, and not because it's Drew McIntyre, it's because how they've been presenting and booking Drew McIntyre. And I think this is the perfect opportunity here. And I also look at I'm, I also believe in kind of like the comeuppance. Okay, I know Drew McIntyre jumped you on your tour bus. You went to that man's house.
Completely different.
Drew is too much of like a beast and a giant to let that ride. You deserve to lose your title for that. You can't come to somebody's side. And, which we didn't talk about, Cody making that comment to Nick Aldis about you work for me. Man, there's something there too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different ways they can go. But if it was me, I would have Drew beat Cody just because I feel like Cody doesn't need that title, that championship. And yeah, he can win it back in a couple months, because my thought is going to be that, of course, Roman versus Cody doesn't work without the title. Number 3, it needs to be for the title. Why else would they be working that match?
So you would, okay, so let me cut you off there real quick and remember what you were about to say. You think that it is more important to have Roman Cody 3 for a championship more than Drew's career right now if he loses again to Cody? You think it's more important for Cody and Roman to have Roman and Cody 3 with the belt? Then
we can flip stuff around. We got 4 months. And meaning, what I mean by that is we can see quietly, not quietly, I don't even know if there is a brand split anymore. Mm. Everybody everywhere. And I love that. Because that, and really for me, it's no coincidence that I feel like the quality of shows have gone up since that's kind of happened. Everybody's kind of everywhere. Your top people anyway, where it makes sense. It's just not, roll over from Mondays to Fridays. It's not like that, or Fridays to Mondays, but where it makes sense, people are kind of all over the place. We can take Io and Rio, for example. But if it's me, you could easily have Cody beat the Raw champion somehow, some way before then. We got, Elimination Chamber coming up. You got the Rumble coming up where there can be things that can be done. I just think there's a lot of wiggle room just because, like, we're in January. And just to your point, title reigns don't have to be long. I'm not saying put the title on Drew and then have him be the WrestleMania night 1 or night 2 main event with that title, he can absolutely drop it before WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I just think
As
a
long as
win
it's
over
meaningful.
Cody Rhodes does a lot for Drew, and I think it does a lot for Cody too, because you don't want to fall into the space of Super Cena when he was hated, beating everybody. You don't want to fall into the space of Roman Reigns, where he was kind of just beating everybody. I think there is something about your top babyface being vulnerable and being beatable. And if we're talking about like a match like 3 Stages in Hell, man, my goodness, is there so many outs that they could give Cody for losing that type of match?
Yeah.
Just not a regular match.
So you're saying that both can happen, because with the way that I'd asked the question, I was looking at it just one or the other had to happen. You're saying no, the Roman Cody 3 can still be for a championship, while at the same time Drew can win the championship come a week from now. Got it.
Yep, 100%. So I'm excited for Monday or Tuesday for us. We'll watch Tuesday. No, I say I'm gonna stay up and watch that one. I'm gonna stay up. I'm gonna be locked in for that. I'm gonna stay up and watch it. 2 a.m., 2:15 a.m., whatever it is. The other rumor is that we may see Chris Jericho as early as Monday night. He's absolutely coming to WWE. When he was off of AEW TV, I'm like, oh, it's a wrap. It's over. We know that last year was
garbage.
Yeah. And that's probably putting it lightly. Not the greatest. I mean, overstayed his welcome in AEW, was not good, but we all are going to pop when either we hear Break the Walls Down or even Judas when he comes out. Right?
Because it's his song, right? So he can perform Judas.
Yeah, I'm sure that they've got something big planned for him and with his last year.
Man, see, that's where nostalgia comes in. Like, I would love to see that, but do I really? Like, for real, let's be honest. Like, it's almost like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, probably even more so with like Matthew's age, or maybe right a little bit older than Matthew, the whole Stranger Things thing. The song in the beginning, to us, yeah, it hits for us. Now imagine somebody who like just was a young adult listening to it, and in 10 or 20 years from now, they hear it just out of nowhere. No one's going to not pop. Everybody's going to pop if they hear that. Everybody's going to pop if Jericho comes back. But let's actually talk about this though. Well, not really. I'm just saying, outside of after the pop, anybody going to care? That's the thing about it. Like, I don't know right now if I would. And it could be because of how terrible that last year was, where he was just wasted time on television. I just don't think after that first maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times we see Jericho, anybody going to be really caring, popping for him.
I think they will. And then that's why the story is so important, though. Because it's the story that's being told with Chris Jericho. This is more than just, hey, this person is showing up in X promotion. You know, because he is Chris Jericho, right? First ballot Hall of Famer. He talked about he left WWE because he saw where he was in the hierarchy of things, and this is just where I'm at. Him and Kevin Owens, he tells the story all the time of where they were in that placement of that WrestleMania card. And he's like, we had the best story out of everybody leading the WrestleMania. And this is where we're at. Okay, this is show me where my ceiling is right now. It's time for me to go. There's nothing more I can do now. So you best believe him signing on. I'm sure that check is awesome. That what he's going to get. My hope is we just don't get comedy fodder Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is actually a story worthy of Chris Jericho's last run before retirement. And what does that look like? What is the mission statement for his return? Is his mission statement going to be, I just need to win the world championship one more time? Is the mission statement something else? That's what I'm excited for. And I think that they are going to nail that piece of it, because if we don't nail it, what's the point of him coming back? Because he damn sure ain't coming back just put on good matches.
Right. I wonder for younger people if they don't see the importance of people coming back to win championships. Like, I know for us, our parallel comparison would have been like, you don't show up at all year, but then you come for WrestleMania and then take our spot in WrestleMania. So that was kind of like when we were younger, that was like the veteran coming back. But I wonder, like, how does the generation below us and then one below that, how do they feel where like these people they know nothing about will come back and get a heavyweight championship reign. Not even like an IC or a US belt, but like the actual world championship. I wonder how they feel about the veterans coming back.
I think it's with anything. I think they feel like what the audience responds to. Say if there is because you're saying younger talent. So let's say this is a talent that doesn't really watch AEW, or a fan, not talent.
A fan.
Yeah, don't really watch AEW, and they really got into wrestling over the last 3 to 4 years. Bloodline, Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, that whole thing, right? That's what really got them into wrestling. And they see somebody like Jericho comes back. When he gets that massive pop, that tells them, oh, this guy is a big deal. Let me see why.
Okay.
And then they go look and see he beat Rock and Stone Cold in the same night.
In the same night.
He helped launch AEW. Oh, he came back numerous times. Oh, he's the Y2 that I kept hearing about. Oh, he's done this. That's why the response is so important. Even in the arena, when there's a new wrestling fan, Joe Budden is a prime example. He talked about when he went to that Raw show at the Barclays earlier this year, and he doesn't watch wrestling. And he made the comment about Rusev and Sheamus. And he was locked in for whatever reason I think that was probably all he was sitting down for. I think he probably was out there moving and signing deals and such outside of that.
Making money.
But he was talking about, but the crowd was on it. Rusev Day. To new fans, how the crowd reacts is now your perception of said person.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think when they see that, they'll go do their research, or the crowd think they're cool, so I think they're cool. Right? It's kind of contagious when that happens. Or if I'm told they suck, they suck. So, exciting time for WWE, which is good to see. Going right into the Royal Rumble season. They got a big week, though. SmackDown tonight should be a good show. And then a pretty major Raw show on Monday. It was something else I wanted to talk about. Carmelo Hayes. So I'm watching the match. And him and Ilya Dragunov. And I guess nothing needs to be said about them and how they can work. Man, that crowd was there for Carmelo. And I was texting with Brandon, and I was telling him that moment before the moment is why wrestling is so incredible. Typically, it's not the moment, right? The moment feels great of whatever that set is, the turn, the championship win, the loss. It's the moment before that, right? It's the hawking up. It's the John Cena look to The Rock before he kicks Cody Rhodes in the nuts. For Friday, it was Carmelo going up to that top rope to hit that move, and the crowd is already on their feet because they know what's coming. Got the goosebumps right now, right? I have to assume that's why the wrestlers get into the business for that. That has to be probably such a indescribable feeling. And that's, when we watch, you point to it and say, that's why we watch. It's for the moments before the moment. And Carmelo had a hell of a moment on Friday. Shout out to Dragunov and doing what he's done, because that's equity. What he was able to do in some of those banger matches with the U.S. title, Carmelo taking it over. But the question I had after I watched that, and we've been talking about how Melo has been mismanaged for a while on the main roster. I saw a tweet from Mark Henry. You brought up Mark Henry earlier. I love Mark Henry, but I just think sometimes some of his takes, I'm just like, dude, what are you talking about? He had a tweet
because he's a worker, but that's what it is. He's a worker.
He had a tweet where he made a comment about people saying like Carmelo doesn't deserve it. It's like, Mark, nobody's ever said that. Unless you're talking about the creative team.
Wait, the insiders.
In
the
WWE.
Insiders, right.
I ain't never seen.
We didn't.
Yeah, we've never seen that. I was also on the I want to see more from Melo, but that was like a year plus ago, when he was really doing the thing with Miz, and we're like, man, is this the right spot for him? I'm like, man, he can make a career out of just being that type of guy, but man, there's more, I think, for Carmelo. But I have a question, and my question was, we've talked about the booking. We've been down on the booking of Carmelo for longer than we've been high on his booking on the main roster. But when you see that finish, you see the reaction from the crowd, does that mean the booking of Carmelo Hayes worked?
Yes.
Or was it more of the match that Dragunov and Carmelo were involved in, and that's what got the big response for him?
I don't want to say no to that because I'm quite sure that played a bit of a part of it. But you've talked about cream rising to the top. It's just destined that he was. Carmelo, whether even in NXT, when maybe even I was critical of him, I was critical of both him and Trick as far as like how they're going to do when they're on their own, but get them up there with the main roster to see how they go with some of those veterans up there. But for Carmelo, I think he was always going to be important. So if he was always destined to do that, even if you had shitty ass writing, eventually it would all come full circle and be worth it, or it worked. So I don't want to take away from how bad they booked him over this time period, because they did do not that good of a job. He could have achieved this sooner. But I guess this is part of the game, and this is probably another reminder why you can't compare yourself to anybody else's path, because everybody goes a different way at a different time. So to answer your question, regardless, I think Carmelo was going to be a champion. He was going to get the accolades and the excitement from the crowd when he became champion. It's just the path it took for him to get there. Then you add on the relationship with him and Ilya, what Ilya has done, the match itself, how beautiful dance partners they are. That adds to that for sure. But it was destined that Carmelo would hold championship. That was the reason why we were so angry for so long, but because we knew what Carmelo was capable of and what he could do with the title. So I think it's just more so it was in the stars for him to be a champion. And then all the other things kind of just made that moment beautiful.
The timing was great, because if we looked at, say if he would have won the title, honestly, 4 months ago, I don't think he gets that kind of reaction. Like, they're removed enough from the Miz stuff. And then you have him in the Time Is Now tournament. Probably almost beats Gunther. Great match that he was in that adds to it. And then it's the stuff he does with Ilya that adds to it. And then we get that finish that we got. So I think it was timing in the best possible way, in the absolute best possible way. So
your answer to your question would be that they didn't book so bad, or no, your question was, did the booking worked? So in your response, you would say,
I'm going to say so, because if he's not presented properly, I don't care who you are, you don't get that type of reaction.
So you don't think we could have gotten here with that reaction a year ago?
No. No, I don't. Because you don't get the finally. Right? Everybody, to your point, you said everybody's got kind of their own story. Every story doesn't have to be the finally thing. Like when Jade won her title, there wasn't a finally to it. It was kind of like, all right, okay, now let's see.
No, here we go.
Right? Okay, now let's see. But it wasn't a finally. Everything doesn't have to be, a finish the story. When you can pull it off, it's great. But for Carmelo, and where he was previously to where he is now, a lot of that came from, I'm so happy for him. I don't know if you get that. Actually, you don't get that if he comes in as the cocky guy and wins the U.S. championship 4 months into being on the main roster. Now, they could have done that, and it could be even better, depending on where he is right now. But when I saw that reaction, I just said to myself, I'll be damned. Okay, the booking worked, because you can't argue with the reaction. You can't argue with where he's at right now. And even if you were to say to me, okay, that means the booking worked for the last 60 days. All right. Point still stands, though, the booking worked. You know?
I differ just a little bit. My answer was, yes, it worked. Because, again, everything I've said and what you've said. But I still feel that you don't have to take such a scenic route. I think he had enough fandom behind him that if he won early in, they did it with Stephanie Vaquer. And the crowd was behind her. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it wasn't the finally story that we got. They could have did something like that for him, too. And
they could have gotten. I'm talking about that guttural excitement when the crowd is coming before the finish has even happened. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just the win. I'm talking about everything that came with how that crowd reacted in that moment before he hit that move. You got something special there.
Regardless, he is now the champion. I'm super excited to see what he does with this opportunity. I think he's going to do a fantastic job. I mean, he's been doing a good job just being Mrs. Friend and not having any championships and just out there working. So now to have this to add to his swag, how he presents himself, I think this is going to be a really good showing for him.
Yep. 2 quick things from Raw. And then I got something I saw on Bleacher Report I wanted to get your thoughts on. Penta's back, and I love that because it was like out of nowhere. So that's great to see that he was only gone for a couple months after being, hurt in the Time Is Now tournament. But what I really enjoyed was out of sight, out of mind. As soon as I saw him, I was like, how did he not make the naughty or nice list that we did on last episode?
Yeah, you said that, yeah.
1,000,000% on the nice list. And he's somebody that I have been, longtime listeners know, super high on Penta and Phoenix. Even when they were in AEW, I used to talk about how it was missed opportunity after missed opportunity with him, and just down to merchandise sales, how big of a star he could be. And he maximized it. He maximized his time in WWE over the last year. So absolutely on the nice list was Penta.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, I see the hate online.
Uh-oh.
I don't care. I like me some Nikki Bella. I don't care what y'all got to say about
we could have
how
this
she
conversation.
works. I don't care about none of that. Nikki Bella is the truth. She's been the truth, but when Nikki put on that STFU and the crowd started saying, "Thank you, Cena," she said, "No, thank me." Would have been moment of the year if we were doing moments of the year. Man, how good was that? How good was that? Shout out to her.
I thought you were talking about her personal life. No, professional life. Again, I do have a little bit of issue with people who are retired and you're a Hall of Famer and then you come back and wrestle. But then I can't talk out of both sides of my neck and say that she came back from, like, she didn't just end her career. She had a career-ending injury. And so she can still, evidently she has the love for it. Every wrestler says that is something in your brain that's just a little bit off, that you just always want to get that next hit. That next hit is that wrestling experience. And so if she's willing to put her body out there, first off, to completely change her body after being a mother, not saying that you can't do that, because that's not what I'm saying, but be able to completely conform your body to what you want it to be able to handle the speed, the being agile, being cardio first. Like, that's amazing. So again, I do have an issue with somebody who is retired and you go to Hall of Fame and then all of a sudden you come back for another career, then you really shouldn't have got inducted to the Hall of Fame yet. But I do like her professionally. And even though sometimes she is a little bit, you could tell she's a diva back in that time genre, I think she's still really good on TV and she's beautiful.
Nikki the GOAT. I've seen enough, man. She the GOAT.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying she's the GOAT at all.
She said, thank me. Bleacher Report. They did grades for the year 2025 for the top men WWE superstars. I'm going to just give you the names. I'm going to give you their grade. I want you to give me your grade. Okay. They did 6 people. They did Punk, Seth, Gunther, Roman, Cody, and Cena. Okay. CM Punk, they gave an A to for the year 2025. What grade do you give CM Punk?
I'm going to say a B, but it's probably an A. It's just my natural hate for him.
I give Punk an A. I'm glad that you finally admitted that you actually hate CM Punk. That's crazy.
No,
you didn't say that when you met him.
Punk. I said the
You punked out like you normally do.
But you know what?
You are man. We're gonna have a conversation
sweetheart.
about you
Hey,
one
listen,
day. We're gonna have a conversation about you one day.
He was such a. He didn't even seem like a wrestler. He just seemed like a really just nice guy, like just down to earth.
Seth Rollins. They gave him an.
I'm trying to think through like how long was he hurt, like how like that whole part of his year. I'll give Seth an A.
A minus, maybe.
Are we doing pluses and minuses?
Yeah. And I'm only going to say A minus because I remember when I just kept asking for. I mean, he had a tremendous year, right? You think about the lead up to the god awful lead up of the WrestleMania triple threat match. Not his fault at all. Match of year candidate with him and Roman and Punk. He gets with Heyman. You know, they basically run Monday Night Raw, for a while. The Vision wasn't the best TV for me.
But it was for me.
As soon as they started getting cooking is when he went out. But I just remember I kept asking for, all right, when's the new music coming? Because it doesn't match his character. I remember I would say things about like, man, when he was serious Seth, I'm like, this is the best Seth. And I understand everybody just can't be serious 52 weeks a year. Everybody's had to have stories and characters and such. But I remember there was times where I wanted a little bit more from him, but he had a tremendous year. So that's why I said like I probably would go A minus. For me, it would be like A minus B plus range.
I'm gonna keep him at an A. I'll give Punk a B plus.
Okay. Gunther, they gave an A.
I feel like his information is incomplete. His data is incomplete. In my mind, I just don't remember him, so I can't call him an A because I don't really remember his year.
Retired Goldberg and John Cena.
Well,
had the IC title.
But that wasn't in 2025, was it?
Wasn't it him? Was it not?
I'm gonna give him a B because I can't even justify giving him an A. So I'm gonna give him a B.
Yeah, I mean, retiring Goldberg and Cena automatically puts him in his A territory, even if, you know what I'm saying, just does. Like, he retired 2 Hall of Famers in 1 year. But I'm also probably kind of close to that, like, B. But, I mean, everything is kind of written for you in wressling. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything I just wrote down for Seth Rollins was written for him.
But I feel like, yes, but I also feel like the excitement that Seth gives or gets from people, the little things that he does, I think he's more deserving of an A than Gunther is. Because the biggest things that you talk about Gunther was that he retired 2 people. We talked about some of the things with Seth. It was more like, okay, you had that lead up to Mania, which was like kind of sucky, but he still tried to do as best as he could with what he had. Like that takes extra effort. So I mean, I'm just not going to put Gunther at an A. I get what you're saying because on paper he needs to be an A, but I'm gonna give him a B.
Let's see here.
I'd gave him an A the year that he had the IC championship.
No, I mean, he was. I think. See, some of this is bleeding into last year because his feud with Damian Priest was the end of 2024. Remember when Priest was kind of making him look like a chump bitch?
Yeah.
But he was world champion. Jay, of course, beat him at.
And remember, I thought that his championship reign was a lackluster. So no, the more you bring it up, I'm about to give him a C.
Hey, you can do what you got to do. I mean, probably a B for me. Probably a B for me. And the B is really being elevated because of retiring Goldberg.
That's the point I'm saying. Yep.
Right? But I'm saying, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, so I got a B. Roman Reigns. They gave Roman Reigns a C+.
Definitely incomplete data. 2025, he came around. He was here for the first couple months of the year. Then he just disappeared for like 3 months. He came back in September for a minute. No,
he worked SummerSlam. I mean, they had him in the pretty big spots. He worked Rumble. He did Mania. He did SummerSlam. He did War Games. He did the one show where he told Jimmy and Jay, I ain't gonna see y'all till Christmas.
I won't see you till So you know what? I'm giving Gunther a C. Did I give Gunther a C?
Yeah, you give him, I mean, whatever you think.
Yeah, I think I said B, but Gunther's a C and Roman's a C.
I want, Big Rome. I want to give him more than that. I can't.
You can't.
Because I truly believe, and this could be controversial, and definitely can be a conversation for another day if people want me to deep dive it. This wasn't the best creative year for WWE, and I said that last week when I put Triple H, TKO, and WWE on the naughty list. And I think a lot of that has to do with Roman Reigns. His lack of being there and his lack of being in the top storylines. I think for the time he was there, for what he had, he absolutely maximized what he had to do. But there is a significant drop off. It is when Roman's not around.
I agree.
Comparison to when he was around with the bloodline and then he would be gone, he would come back and he had the title, and even really kind of like 2024. I just don't. On paper, it looks like they maximized him. On paper, if you look and say he helped make Bronson Reed, hell of a check mark. Yep, he sure did. We, through him, got Punk and Seth where they needed to be for WrestleMania. Seth with Heyman, check mark, absolutely. Through him, we got Jimmy and Jay in a different space and elevated Jay even more to where he needed to be. He wins the championship where they are now. Yep, absolutely, check mark. So on paper, it looks like, yeah, he's the catalyst for a lot of that. But when I look at overall where I need Roman to be at, I need more. So his score is not indicative of him, but it has to be, because this isn't the writing of superstars and characters. These are the people. I can't give him more than a C.
And
with no fault to me for him.
I ain't gonna say all that. I'm just gonna say that it was just real incomplete data. Like, he was not. When you say they reviewed the 6 people this year, I don't even know why he was included in it. That's, like, to me, how much I felt like he was not at work for. What you said was true. Those are factual statements that you made. But for me, I don't even think he was there long enough. He was completely part-time, that he shouldn't even been reviewed or assessed of these 6 people. It should have been just 5 people and kept Roman out of it. And to respond to how maybe someone would say, well, Rhodesia, you didn't have the problem with Roman when he was a champion for 4 years and he didn't show up. It's a massive difference. Like you said, when Roman was the champion, we still at any moment could have thought that he was going to show up. The stories was still, bloodline was still at the top. We still had emotion for him. They talked about Roman on the show. Like, his presence was still there, even though he wasn't physically there. It was written differently. Now, with him not just even really being mentioned, we'll get some chance of the OTC, but then that's just about it. Like, there's a complete difference of Roman not being there today or this last 2025 year versus when he was champion for 4 years and wasn't there all the time. It's a big difference between the two.
I'm sure he's still going to be on a part-time contract in 2026. I need more. I don't know how you do it. I don't, but when he's on TV, business picks up. When he's around, it feels completely different. And that's why I would still say, yeah, Cody's the guy week to week, right? He's the one that is doing all the media. He's the one that's hitting all these shows, et cetera, et cetera. But when you talk about the top person in WWE, it's going to be Roman until he's not. It is. Which takes us to Cody Rhodes. They gave Cody a B+ this year.
What? They gave Gunther an A. They gave Punk an A. They pretty much gave everybody an A except for Roman, right? So far?
Yeah.
And they gave him
Cody
a B? I don't disagree with the B+. I'm just surprised that they would give him a B+ when he has been the face of the company the whole year. That, to me, is a little bit, I think, of a smack in the face to Cody, based off of all those other people that was compared to him. I'm okay. I'm good with B for Cody. B+. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I got him at a B. I have him at a B because if once again, if I'm saying a down creative year and he's one of the top people,
You got to put some of that on him,
right?
In this comparison, yeah.
Once again, it has nothing to, it's not. It's where they were slotted. It's where they were paid. Yep. This is not in ring work.
Right.
This is, so
their year,
some really high highs, but it was also sometimes where we're sitting there. I mean, hell, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Like, yo, they don't have anybody on SmackDown.
Nobody lined
outside
up
of Drew
for him.
that we believe would even have a chance of beating him. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a Cody Rhodes problem in regards to how do you set him up to be in feuds that we feel are impactful and pertinent and believable to him being someone who is in trouble of losing his precious title. That's not him per se, but that's where they are right now in SmackDown. So that's where I think some of that, I didn't look and see why they gave the grades. I just thought it'd be cool to kind of, break down what they gave to what we would say. But I kind of have them at a B. And then John Cena, they gave an A.
I'll give him an A. Grudgingly. I give him an A+ grudgingly because he is gone. 17 ever seen. I'll give him an A+. But we know this last year is an F. Or no, D. Was it D like D. Dog shit? Dog poop.
You felt that. You got to bring that back. Yeah.
But now 3 weeks removed from it. Give his old stank ass an A+. But in parentheses, it'll be D.
Well, but see, that's the thing, though. That's grading on a curve.
Yeah.
That's
for sure.
Grading on a curve.
For sure. All of this is, everything that we talk about pro wrestling is on a curve and our own subjectivity to it.
That's grading on a curve, though.
It is.
In his control, doing what he could, yes, he gets an A. In execution, though, he's probably around a B, too. Because we saw, actually, I can't give him an A just because of how horrible I thought his heel promo was when he turned. I think I went on for like 25 minutes on that podcast. I can't. So
you saying good faith, you can't give him an A.
Plus.
No, I'm telling him, give him an A+, in parentheses, it'll be D like dog shit. That's what I'll have when I put it on the editing. Boom. He's going to get an A and a D.
AEW Worlds End. I enjoyed the show, as I knew I would. There was a couple matches that I didn't care too much for, but the things that needed to deliver, I thought delivered overall. Unfortunately, it seems like outside of Orange Cassidy and Tony Storm dancing, they got 70 million views on Instagram. The biggest talk, it felt like, was the William Regal tweet.
Yeah.
And that's strictly due to ignorance in IWC, right? If you didn't see the tweet, way too long for me to read it. But in essence, it was, hey, don't get dropped on your head, wrestlers. Think about your future. And somehow that turned into, oh, shut up, traitor. You're the enemy, right? Just that whole thing. Now, I did say I probably felt for the first time where like true tribalism may come from this weekend. So outside of that, right? So like, it's like, my God, weirdos who respond like that to Regal. Where Regal is literally telling wrestlers, protect your health. Think about your future.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So there was two spots in particular on World's End I would have absolutely vetoed if I was Tony Khan. That was the one spot. It was Moxley and Kyle Fletcher. And it was like a reverse back
it was a suplex. It was like from the top.
From the top rope. He landed on his neck. And the other one was in the AEW women's match with Statlander and Hayter. And it was from the top rope again, or maybe the second rope. It was like a modified powerbomb brainbuster type move. And I would have vetoed both of them because the bump is not worth anything. I would probably veto those if they were the finishes. But neither one of those bumps were the finishes. I mean, you gotta be smarter in terms of some of those bumps. I hope not. But my worry is, and I am not saying go back to old school wrestling where there's not crazy bumps. I'm not saying any of that, but there's a difference for me, and there's just levels to what should be done and what shouldn't be done. And if we need to do something crazy, and now granted, you can get hurt doing a snapmare. That's why I say all this can hurt and can be career ending or life, altering in an instant. Every single bump we see. But when, to me, it's not part of a finish, not part of a long term story. I just hope not. But what I hope is before somebody gets seriously hurt, that there's some things that's reined in. It's easy to rein things in after somebody gets seriously hurt. But the problem with wrestling is you're fine the next day after the bump. A lot of times, right? You're fine the next week after the bump. You're even potentially fine the next year after the bump. But then you work a match, and then all of a sudden, you can't feel your arms. And you get the tingling sensation down your left side of your leg. And it stays from anywhere from, 30 seconds to 3 minutes. And then you go get checked out, and it's okay, now we need neck surgery. Right? Like, that's the thing. So I think hopefully the majority of wrestlers understood Regal's tweet. It was in no shape or form WWE versus AEW.
Hell, even Kenny came out and posted that after him, pretty much saying, yes, you're right. And Kenny would know. Kenny would know.
Yep. So it's hard to just say, you can't just say be safe, because none of it's really safe. You train professionals, yes. But be careful, man. Like, Tony, I would, hey, what big spots are you looking at doing in the match? And I know is where the best wrestle, et cetera, all that kind of stuff. I know all of it's dangerous. I get all of that. But I would personally put my hands a little bit tighter on some of those things. And if it's not a move that is going to be the conclusion of something massive, or at least the finish of the match, I would tell them to slow it down.
Because you're going to keep
Tony
moving
Khan
that
made a comment
goalpost.
about Darby's bump that he took in Sting's last match, where he, went off the ladder into the table and then the glass, or it was the glass and the chairs. And Tony said, I think that's the one that, Darby kind of went a little too far with it. It's like, but yo, man, you got to get your arms around that then. If you feel that way, he's, I think what he said was it was more than what I was told. And who knows? The boy's always going to try to, get this stuff off.
They push your limits.
You get that too, right? But even that bump's different. That's a painful, dangerous bump. If you are a trained professional, that's not a bump where you're going to be paralyzed, right? That's not a bump where after that bump, if it goes right, or even if it goes a little wrong, you got to worry about breaking your neck. Yeah, you're rotating, but if you know how to do that, there's only so many bad things that can happen in that kind of bump. From Saturday, though, was scary, right? Like,
I wrote that in my notes and said it was scary.
Yeah, Darby's bump was more like, yo, he is wild. He's got to relax before he dies.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. The bumps on Saturday was an inch or two off. And for what? Because at least Darby's bump was like, that's something that's going to be in video packages forever. Right? Like, Darby, okay, and we know this is what Darby does. Now this is what Darby is just known for. Even his match with Gabe Kidd, I'm watching, and I'm not like the highest on Gabe Kidd. I was like, man, he's giving too much to Gabe Kidd. The match was fun. The match was a really good match. It was what you would expect from a Darby Allin type of match. But I'm watching, I'm just like, he's giving too much to him. I don't need this much from a Gabe Kidd, Darby Allin type match. You know what I'm saying? But even that bump, you're kind of just like, all right, man, you are forever immortalized in AEW lore and wrestling. They'll be able to show that bump forever in Sting's final match, in which you did. I don't think they're going to show that Kyle Fletcher bump or that Jamie Hayter bump. So it's like, then what do we really do it for?
Yep. And I'm not in the school of, okay, let's ban everything, just like how the Power Driver was banned from WWE for decades. I'm not saying that. But like you said, if it's going to be something that's going to paralyze somebody, which almost everything in the ring probably can, but a higher chance of paralyzing someone. At least this has been kind of the gripe about that company. Make sure it pays off. Make sure that is the finish, because you're going to keep moving that goalpost, because when is it going to be enough? And that's kind of what you were getting at, like, without trying to manifest anything. How far are you going to push it before you are now forced to stop? So it's just like you said, just bring it in. And then if people violate what they told you, then they have points or whatever kind of discipline you give them, to where, okay, well, I don't trust you anymore in doing certain things. And they're going to always push the limits. It's human nature to push the limits on even what I share on, hey, I'm going to do this. But, you're going to take extra liberties. But just overall, like, with that, because I don't remember seeing, didn't watch the Jamie Hayter match fully. But when I remember watching with the John Moxley and Kyle, I was just like, scared to the point where I'm like, and he was selling it afterwards too, which I'm like, oh my God, did he just break his neck? Like, is he paralyzed? And I'm like, I can't even imagine having that vision of me seeing that in my mind, knowing if something really bad did happen to him. I'm like, this is gone too far.
Yeah, so what I was talking about, I never even got to my point. I kind of went on a tangent there, but when I was talking about the tribalism piece, that was due to a couple. So you had that part, right? The whole shut up traitor or enemy and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, okay, but that's like, once again, that's the far, like, all right, you probably have no personal life. You're probably so much fun at parties and such kind of person. You just put over in that corner. Don't talk to us.
You ain't even invited to parties.
But from a pro AEW perspective, and one came from Peter Rosenberg. And I know, so, Moxley beat Okada in the tournament. And then Mox gets on the microphone and puts over the tournament. And it was kind of a little bit of a rah-rah AEW speech a little bit. And, this is the toughness I was trying to bring earlier this year to AEW, which I thought was a great moment. I thought it was a great moment from a perspective of the Continental Classic is slowly coming to being like the tournament in wrestling, the kind of way we used to look at like the
G1s and stuff.
The G1 back, we used to watch NJPW pretty often. So then I'm like, okay, good. They sold the tournament. And then you also got the part of, looks like Moxley slowly turning babyface, right? So then you got that part. He did win the title from that tournament. So you got that part of it too. And then I get online and then I see Peter Rosenberg, who basically says like, why are we doing long promos in the match before the main event? Like, leave the ring or something like that.
Ooh.
And this is where, like, I say, like, okay, I can see now, like, how tribalism starts. Because that ain't the hill to die on, Peter Rosenberg. Like,
ouch.
Should they have just cut to, like, 15 minutes worth of commercials before the main event then? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm all for people telling their truths and having an opinion. But I just felt like for a company that only does 5 matches on pay-per-view every single time and has, 30 plus minutes of commercials for somebody who works for the company and who allegedly is watching this show as a fan, which I didn't see any positive tweets about the show before that. Not to say Worlds End was like arguably the pay-per-view of the year. It wasn't, but it's just still the point of like, what was the point of that? And I saw a couple others too that was really tied to WWE or that really covered WWE heavy make comments about certain things about the show where I'm just like, that ain't the comment to make. If you want to talk about something,
let's talk about the neck moves.
Yeah,
it
let's
drops
talk
on the
about
neck.
Something. Oh, let's not talk about that.
I mean, that again, and I didn't see John Moxley thing, so I don't know the flow. I don't know how it felt like after a strong match when it sounds like him going 5 minutes on this whole acceptance and whatever his purpose was on when he got on the mic. But to me, that brings more prestige to the actual tournament. I mean, I've gone on here and said plenty of times, like, I get irritated when there's a tournament that's done and then it's just like nothing after when it's all said and done. It was just a waste of my time. No, like if you had something that was built like this, I even liked how it was the semifinals and then the finals on the same night too. I really love that. It is important And then you said that's for the championship too. So of course, I mean, you should. Why can't I have the space to talk about it? Like, I actually think that was really cool that they gave him some time to talk after that match. Because again, I wouldn't want to go from watching that match then to immediately the main event. I would want time to come down. So I would just think that he being Rosenberg, I would have thought that is not that smart of a comment. Like, we need to come down. So again, so then it's like you said, is his version of coming down is to watch the commercials? Or what?
Yep. But from a positive perspective, I mean, majority of Worlds End was positive, so I'm not going to say that. But I do love that Kenny is back into the world title mix on Dynamite. MJF cuts his promo, and then we cut to a pre-tape of Kenny saying, like, hey, I don't know if it's going to be next week, next month. I don't know if I got to claw back to get there, but I got unfinished business with you in that title. So I'm excited for that. You know, like, if it was me, I would have been had Kenny in that. We just talked about Roman Reigns and his limited schedule. If he ain't fighting for a title, if he ain't top of the card, I wouldn't be using him. So I am thoroughly excited for this to see how this plays itself out. Even if he doesn't win the championship, just to see him at the top of the card and when that is, I'm all about.
I'm conflicted there. I'm glad that he addressed kind of that, like what he needs to do to get to that spot again. But Kenny's best days are behind him, wrestling wise. So I just don't want to feel like disappointed. Not me as a fan, but me being disappointed if he can't produce what he wants to produce in his final, I guess, championship hunt. That's just where I'm just conflicted at. Of course, I would love to see that. I love Kenny. I just don't want him to have to feel like he let himself down or the fans down.
You know who didn't let the fans down?
Who?
Mercedes Moné and Willow Nightingale. Good God. Good God. I was in wrestling bliss watching them women work. From the second that match started, they had their feet on the pedal and they did not let up until the match was over. I was so impressed with them and so happy with them for that to be the last match in 2025, on AEW TV and, really any match in wrestling because it was New Year's Eve.
It was New Year's Eve, yep.
So, whatever time that was that it went off, 10 p.m. or whatever it was. Good God. Those women, I don't want to get into, was it a match of the year type candidate? I don't know that. But I do know watching that match, I was so impressed with the sense of urgency they had in that match, with how smart that match was wrestled and worked. The finish of the match where we got counter after counter of the finishes, they did everything right. They did everything right in that match. And I think what I was most impressed with was the match was only announced Saturday night. Right? So, like, when you see the match announced, you're kind of just like, man, if it's anybody who should beat Mercedes for that title, it's probably Willow. But, they wouldn't put both titles on Willow, right? They wouldn't have her be a tag champion and beat Mercedes for the TBS championship, would they? Even though, like, the story is there, like, Mercedes is starting to lose. And, I talked about the downfall of Mercedes. And I'm like, this is the last AEW title she has. Last show of the year. Man, this is kind of like perfect time. They wanted to do it. Women are main eventing the show. Okay. But, man, kudos to them. Hopefully they are happy with what they put out there, because that was tremendous. Just a tremendous match.
Bravo, ladies.
And now Mercedes doesn't have any AEW proper titles.
She's about to be in the Royal Rumble. I said this a few years ago. Remember? I said that Sasha Banks is going to be number 30 at the Royal Rumble.
Well, we will see. Up. Not that, but Bayley's, I think, contract is up this year. So her creative is going to be interesting to see what she looks like in 2026.
You think she's going to continue to wrestle like that? Or do you think she's going to just do her school and live right onto the sunset?
No. No, she'll still be working. Just be interesting where to see But I brought it up about Mercedes because now it's going to be the, you know, when I talked about like the downfall of Mercedes, there's a world where like, hey, that downfall is now absolutely here. Like it's not coming. It could be here because now those other titles that she's lost, AEW doesn't have control over those, right? They're not sanctioned by AEW. So then it's kind of like, okay, they could start the rock bottom story now. Because this has to be leading to her winning the AEW Women's World Championship. It's a title she hasn't won yet.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun to see, like, just when they start that, like, is she going to lose all the other titles first?
I think she has to.
Or maybe not.
Not that she has to.
You know, because then now you got, so we'll see. Once again, it's another, like, we'll see. But
we'll fast forward and come back. This is what we thought on January 2nd.
January 2nd, Friday, January 2nd. You got anything else, Rhodesia, you want to bring up before we get out of here?
Happy New Year's to everybody who's listening and watching. May this year be prosperous in your health, in your money, in your growth. Love people, spread love and light. Believe me, it comes back to you. It comes back to you. Even if you do it only because you wanted to come back to you in a selfish way. Spread love and light.
That I don't agree with.
Spread love and light. Spread love and light. And spread and do it freely from the heart.
There you go. Do it from the heart. I do not believe it comes back to you if you do it just because you think it's the right thing to do. The universe can tell if something is authentic or not. Yeah, I think you get paid back as such. But yes, Happy New Year to everybody. We'll be back. We will be back on Wednesday.
Yes.
We will. I promise.
This is a different situation. I have never stayed out partying that long in my life. Ever. I did tequila shots, and I don't drink tequila.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they weren't tequila shots. But you pulled the bottle up and you said it was tequila.
The bottle was tequila.
It didn't smell like tequila.
It was good though. You thought it was rum at first, but it was good.
I did.
Good time.
I did though.
Good time had by all in the Alicante nightclub. All right, y'all. We are out of here. We love you guys. We will be back next week. Same time, same channel. Peace.